Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon and our continued coverage of the Isle of Cats. Today we're going to be talking about how to set up and how to play with the new expansions that came as part of this second Kickstarter. So this is going to include the Kittens Module, the Beasts Module, and the Events Module. The Kickstarter exclusives basically just added more, as well as these, upgraded meeples, more content that is already in those base modules. There's also the boat pack, which you can see here. I have set up one of the new boards from the boat pack. That one's very self-explanatory, though. You simply make sure if you're playing competitively, you play on the red side. If not, flip it over on the green side for family. They have included these nice reference cards here that can be used to randomize which boat you're going to get, but they're also very handy for showing you where the rooms are located, since these are fresh to you and the rooms are always going to be in different spots. If you're varying the boat you're playing with, it might take you a while to, if you've got all of this covered up, remember that there's a room right here, here, and here, and here. They're all different. So keeping your boat card handy has been a nice touch, at least for me, in remembering where the rooms are. So let's go ahead and talk about setup for the three modules. Setup's very straightforward, very simple. Let's start with the Kitten module. So if you are playing with the Kitten module, you are going to add this additional board onto the island here. So just kind of adds to the water, and you're gonna, if you're playing competitively, place it with the red side with the 2 to 5. If you're playing family mode, you'll notice there is no 2 to 5 on the other side. Once you've got this board down, you're basically going to deal out 4 kittens. It does not matter which side they are, as long as they're on the kitten board. Even for solo, it doesn't matter where they are. You don't have to line them up in a numerical order like you would for all the other creatures in solo mode. So that's basically it for setup for kittens. Just place the kitten board down and deal out 4 kittens. And the 4 kittens is no matter the player count. So even if you're playing with 6 players, you still only put 4 kittens out at a time. All right. For the beasts setup, again, incredibly simple. At the beginning of the game, so the first time you fill the fields, you are going to place 2 beasts per player on the right side of the island, so where the 5 fish are located, and these are going to replace the cats that normally appear on the right side. So when you are setting up the game for the first time, you are going to put, in a 2-player or solo game, 4 cats on the left and 4 beasts on the right. Okay? Again, incredibly simple, straightforward. Just remember not to place cats out as well. They replace the cats in the first day, and then after that, they're either on your board or they're back in the box. You don't deal with them. Last but not least is the event tiles. So the event tiles are going to sit on top of the kind of day markers, the day countdown markers that normally Vesh's boat would travel on. And there's one important rule that you need to remember when setting up the events module. So I'm just going to pull these 2 up here for an example. You will notice that on this tile here on the right, there's a tiny little red diamond up in the corner. On this tile, there is not. Most of the tiles in the game are double-sided. You can see this one also has a diamond in the corner and then blank on the other side. And you need to make sure that when you are setting up your 5 random tiles, that the 2 on the outside have that diamond showing. That's because these are specific kind of activation tiles that will change the rules of the game slightly. And so you're going to want that in the first day and the last day. The 3 in the middle, you're going to want the diamond facing down. These are going to be scoring tiles that are going to give you the chance to score mid-game. Normally, all points are scored at the end of the game. Well, now with event tiles, you can earn some victory points mid-game. So you want to make sure that these 3 in the middle have the diamond side facing down. Also, with setup, you're going to want to make sure you have these elements here set off to the side for the possibility of events. So you've got your royal rats. These are only going to come into play if you have tokens like this that have a rat symbol on it. That basically means you're adding a rat token to your board, and we'll talk about those rules later. You've got your temporary tokens here. So these are, it's like a one-time use basket or a one-time use for boots. Imagine this as just being like a card, except you don't have to pay for it. You would gain it as part of an event, and it would just sit off the side. As soon as you use it, though, you put it back in the box. And then you have just point tokens, 1s and 5s. So when you do score mid-game, you basically collect your point value in these tokens and keep those off to the side until the end of the game, and then include those in the scoring. But that is it for setup as far as the 3 modules are concerned with this new Kittens and Beast expansion. So now that we've gotten setup out of the way, very quick and easy, let's talk about how we play with these various modules. And remember, these are modules, so they can be put in or taken out of any game at your leisure. You don't have to play with all 3 of them at the same time like I currently am. You can play with just the kittens, which is the easiest module. You could play with just the beasts, which is considered a medium level module, or you can add in the events, which is considered a hard module. So with the kittens, the key to kittens is only the fastest person each day can go after kittens. Thematically, I'm not really sure the reasoning behind that, because I would have thought kittens would have been slower than cats, but basically, if you are wanting to get a kitten onto your boat, you're going to want to ensure that you are the fastest person. So I think that's why really it doesn't matter, especially even in solo mode, where they are positioned on the board, because either you are fastest or the solo person is fastest. If you are the fastest person, you have the option to rescue a kitten, but you don't have to rescue a kitten. You could, without trying, be the fastest person, and you could still rescue nothing but cats. It really doesn't matter. If you rescue kittens, however, it works exactly like you would rescuing a cat. You basically you have to give up a basket, and you rescue, say you're using up your permanent basket, and you pick one. And if you rescue a single kitten, it's going to cost you 2 fish. Either side of the board, it doesn't matter. You rescue that kitten, you place it on the board. The kitten colors all match. So like this is a red kitten, these other 3 are the orange kittens, and there are Oshak's kittens. So you're going to have kittens come out of the kitten bag that look like these Oshak's, the white with the red and the green. Those work just like Oshak's. If you rescue you have to pay for an Oshak's kitten with fish, and if you rescue one, as soon as you place it down, you have to give it a color. And then it's that color for the rest of the game. One of the tricks with kittens, however, is the fact that they are small. So you can actually, if you choose and you want to pay for it, rescue 2 kittens with 1 basket. So say you have 1 basket and you really want these 2 kind of sprawled out kittens here. If you want to rescue 2 kittens, you're going to pay 5 fish. So think of it as 2 for 1 or 5 for 2. Not a great deal, but if you want to claim 2 kittens in your same turn using 1 basket, you pay 5 fish. All right, you take them onto your board and you place them there. Another trick to kittens is that they are immediately refreshed. So you immediately refresh this board after you have drawn kittens. Now, if you draw 2 kittens as part of 1 basket in 1 turn, you have to take both of them before you refresh the board. But if, say, you are the fastest player, you draw 2 kittens, that's your turn, you've placed them on the board, and then you refill it and you see 2 more kittens you would like, as long as you have the basket to go back and the fish, you can go back and rescue kittens again. So this board basically is always going to have 4 kittens on it, but only the fastest person each round can draw or rescue kittens. Once they're on your boat, kittens are considered cats. So if you have 3 kittens together, that's a family of 3 cats. If you have 1 kitten and 2 cats, that is a family of cats. For all intents and purposes of scoring, lesson cards, anytime cards, things like that, a kitten, once it's on the board, once it's on your boat, is a cat. That is pretty much it for the kittens module. What kittens are really good for is filling in those tiny spaces, because obviously they are much smaller tiles than the kittens and certainly the beasts. Also, you could get 2 for the price of 1 without having to have a special anytime card. All right, let's now talk about the Beasts expansion, or the Beasts module. The Beasts module only technically comes into play at the first day, when you can rescue a beast. After that, they kind of disappear, they get scared off. And then at the end of the game, once you score the beasts. So you will notice, let's pick this one for example, that all of the beasts have either 3 or 4 small colored icons around their outside at various places. And all these beasts are different shapes, and the number of icons, again, it's either 3 or 4. It's never 2 or 5 or anything less. It's always 3 or 4. What you are attempting to do is connect families of cats where the family, at least one of the family, is touching that same colored symbol. So in this case, if we had our spider on the board here, we would want a purple family somewhere over here touching this side. We'd want a green family, a red family, and a blue family. Okay? For each family that you create a friendship with your magical beast, it's going to score you 5 points at the end of the game. So a beast with 4 icons on it can score you a maximum of 20 points. A beast with only 3 icons on it can only score you 15 points. There is no penalty for not completing a family. All right, there's no penalty for covering up and say I put a red cat right here and completely cut off access to that blue. There's no penalty for that. Just keep in mind, noticing where they are compared to the island board, they are always going to cost you 5 fish to recruit or to rescue. You're only going to be able to rescue them during the first day. After that, these are going to be cats like normal. And once you place them on your board, they are locked in just like every other cat. If they are the first creature to place on your board, you can place them anywhere following normal tile placement rules. If, however, you recruit a cat first and then you come back and recruit or rescue a beast, you have to follow normal placement rules. They have to be touching whatever you placed first. A few other quick rules is that they don't count as cats. They don't have a color. So the only thing you're going to score on them is, again, the 5 points per friendship created. And if you place them down, when you place them down, if they happen to cover up a treasure map, you do not gain a common treasure because, again, they're not a cat and they have no color. Last but not least is that you can have more than one beast on your boat. It is possible to, say you have the very first turn, you pick your beast, you place it on your boat, everybody goes around. Some people may pass on a beast. It's a perfectly legitimate strategy. You could then, if you have the fish for it and the basket, take a second beast. So again, just like cats, you have to have the fish, it's always going to be 5, and the baskets to rescue the beasts. They are only available during the first round. Any beast that's not taken can go back in the beast bag, and then from there on out, they're just on your board. So that is the Beast module. Again, that's kind of like the medium weight module, and it's very easy to set up and pretty easy to implement. All right, let's get into the events module. This is certainly the hardest module. This is going to give you a lot more to think about throughout the game, give you additional scoring opportunities, and it's also going to change the rules up on you. So we already talked about how to set up the events module. What you're seeing down here is a lot of symbology. Now, it would make for a very long video if I simply went through every tile and explained to you what they do. My recommendation for you is to simply keep the rule book handy, the back 2 pages, explain to you what the tiles do, and if you have the Kickstarter exclusive content, the back page explains what those event tiles are going to do for you. Hopefully sometime in the very near future, somebody on BGG will create a 1-page reference sheet that you can print out so you're not having to flip through several different books. But what you are going to do with the event modules is you have to address the event at the beginning of each day. So in this instance, Vesh's boat, they tell you to cover it up, but I have found it a little easier to just have Vesh's boat kind of parked up above the event or the day that we're on. But before you begin the first day, you'd want to figure out this event and activate those rule change. Remember, the ones with the diamonds that we bookended the events with are kind of rule changing events, not point scoring events. So this one, I believe, says that if you happen to cover up a treasure map with an appropriate color, you're going to gain not 1 but 2 common treasures. So that just means that maybe you really push for covering up at least 1, maybe 2 treasure maps on your first round. But after the first day is over and Vesh's boat moves on, that rule no longer applies. So something to consider. And there's sometimes where this could be the last tile, and then maybe you spend your whole game avoiding the treasure maps but setting yourself up so bam, 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 you really hit on all those treasure maps at the end. Once you move on to days 2, 3, and 4, you're going to be scoring points at the beginning of the round. So it's important that you do this at the beginning of the round, not at the end of the round. But again, I'm not going to go through all these. I believe, like, for example, this one we're on means empty room. So for every empty room, you gain a certain number of points, 2 per empty room. In this case, there's the big 2, and you get those points. So it explains in the rules, for example, what does an empty room mean? Because normally that's not something you worry about in the game. You can have 0 tiles in a room for it to be empty. So if you were playing this, luckily that's at the beginning. If it was at the end, maybe you really just keep 1, 2 rooms empty. In this case, maybe you try to just keep all your people like in this area and keep them out of the rooms. But the second even a fraction of a tile makes it into a room, it's no longer empty. It doesn't have to be completely filled to not be empty. Either way, once you figure out how many points you're going to score, this is when you would claim, say you score 3 empty rooms, 6 tokens, so a 5 and a 1. You just keep those off to the side to remind you that you're going to get 6 additional points at the end of the game. And you continue to move along here, and remember the last one is also going to be a rules change. Just real quick, for the royal rats, which is, for example, this token means you have to add a royal rat to your board. Royal rats have to be placed just like any other tile. So they have to be placed touching another tile that's already been placed down. And they count as a filled space. So if you place a royal rat and it's the last one to fill this room would be considered full. Also, if a royal rat is placed over top of a pictured rat, that rat is no longer visible, doesn't count against you. But a royal rat at the end of the game on your boat is -3 points. Normally, a normal rat's worth just -1. But as long as a royal rat is adjacent to a cat and you have a fish to spare, a single fish, you may feed the fish to the cat or pay the fish to have the cat eat the rat, and he goes back to the box. At that point, wherever he was filling, whatever spaces he was filling is now empty. Whatever rat he may expose is now exposed. So keep that in mind. And this is not optional, right? This is optional. Like gaining 2 treasures, you don't have to go after and get a treasure. You're not going to be penalized if you don't make it to a treasure map. Or if you only want 1 treasure, you can only take 1 treasure. But the rat ones are not optional. If you land on that, everybody has to place a rat on their board. The other one that's not out here currently is gaining one of these temporary tiles. Again, when you claim these, you have to decide, is it going to be a basket or is it going to be boots? You have to make that decision when the event occurs and the tile is claimed. Then you may spend this at any other day, any other time in the game. So you could gain this in day 2 and then spend it in day 5, but you just can't flip it. So once you are gifted this tile, you have to choose which side it's going to be on. It has to stay on that side. Once it's spent, it goes back into the box. So it's not a permanent basket or a permanent 4 boots. It's simply a one-time use basket or one-time use 4 boots. All right. That is pretty much going to do it. There are a few rules if you are playing solo that you would want to take into account. For the Kittens module, if the solo sister player is the fastest, she is simply going to wipe the board of the 4 kittens currently there and refresh it. Put 4 new kittens out. She only does that once, and that's only if she is the fastest. If you are the fastest, you can choose to recruit kittens or rescue kittens, or you could leave them there and they will just stay there. Just like any other round, you don't clean that board off at the end of each day and refresh it. The kittens stay there from day in and day out. But if you're playing solo, she'll wipe the whole board if she's the fastest. All right. For the Beast module, there really is no change except for the fact that, you know, if the solo AI says rescue cat number 6, you would go into 2, 5, 6 and it would remove that from the game. So when, you know, as far as the solo basket cards are concerned, these are kind of considered cats as far as the solo cards are concerned. Last but not least is the events module. The sister is never concerned with the rules changing on the exteriors. She's, you know, never going to benefit or be burdened by those. She is, however, going to score points during these events. So you can see at the bottom here, there's 3 very small numbers in black, 6, 8, and 10 in this case. So these different numbers represent the position that this particular tile is here in the middle. So since this one is in the middle spot, she's going to score 8 points for this event. For this one that's in the first slot, she's going to score 12. And you just need to, you know, pull out 12 points worth of tiles and set them off to the side somewhere where you're going to remember to give her those points at the end of the game. Other than that, you just kind of play your events modules as normal. So solo inclusion of these modules is quite simple and straightforward once you've figured out the rules. That's going to do it for the how to set up and play portion of our Isle of Cats review. In our next video, we will be doing a full solo playthrough. We are going to include all the modules. We're going to, you know, throw the book at us. So we're going to, just as you see it set up now, we are going to play through this game in our next video against our sister and see how things go. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.